Hi guys, welcome back to Camille's Corner. So y'all, I wanted to make a video about this situation because it's just disturbing to me and I'm just amazed at how far this thing has gone and how some people are using it to bash Jamaica. And I've been observing it for a few days and I'm a Caribbean woman. I'm not Jamaican, but I feel like when you come for one island, you come for all of us. So it's just offensive to me. So, if you haven't heard of this situation, basically an American tourist named Kalina Collier, she went to Jamaica on vacation. And she's also an air hostess with JetBlue. So, this girl went to Jamaica and she was supposed to leave on February 1st. But she got tested for COVID on January 30th and it came back positive. So, they did another test like an hour later and that one came back negative. But those were the antigen tests. So to clear up any confusion over the results, the Jamaican health officials, they made her take another test. But this time they gave her the PCR test, and that one is said to be more accurate and reliable. And that one came back positive. So this girl took 3 COVID-19 tests in all, and 2 came back positive. So the Jamaican authorities told her that she would not be allowed to travel back to the US. She would have to stay in Jamaica and quarantine for 2 weeks. That is their policy. And I mean, it would be irresponsible of them to just let her get on a plane with other passengers to travel while she's COVID positive. That's a given. So they put her in quarantine. Now, keep in mind that this girl is not the only person that this has happened to, okay? This is Jamaica's policy. Every country has their own policies when it comes to this virus. Even in Trinidad, we're not allowing travel for tourists right now, but Trinidad nationals who are coming back, they have to go into mandatory quarantine. They don't have a choice. It's mandatory. And if you're already in Trinidad and you want to leave the country, and whatever country you're going to requires that you take a test before you arrive, if that test comes back positive here, you have to go into quarantine. Sorry, but your travel plans will have to be cancelled because they're just not letting you get on a plane if you're COVID positive. That's the policy. So I didn't see any issue here with Jamaica's policy, okay? But it seems like this girl, she was just so mad that the last few days of her vacation would be ruined by her having to go into quarantine. So she went live and she talked about how she was being held against her will. Now, she never actually said that she was kidnapped, but that's how her words came across, okay? She implied that she was kidnapped because she claimed that she was locked into a room at this Jamaican resort and that there were cameras in the room and she was so scared and she said she wasn't being allowed to leave. And I mean, you tested positive for COVID and you're in quarantine. Of course, they're not going to allow you to leave. Like, what did she think that they were going to do? Just let her run around the island spreading it? Y'all, I have a friend who just returned from the UK and he's in quarantine right now. And he can't leave his room at all. They bring everything to him. His meals are brought to the room. He has his own private bathroom and everything. But he cannot leave that room until his 2-week quarantine is over. Okay, that's just our policy. And I mean, I get it. Nobody wants to have to stay in a small space for 2 whole weeks. But unfortunately, that's what has to be done to protect other people. And if you have a problem with that, then you're just selfish. So in that video she did, she said she knew she wasn't COVID positive because she felt fine. And she felt it in her soul that she did not have this virus. So I'm like, okay, 2 tests are saying that you have COVID-19. But you're saying because you feel fine, you're not showing any symptoms, and you're just like, deep down inside that you can't possibly have this virus, and we're supposed to take your word for it. Like, yo, there are people walking around infected every day and they look and feel fine. It's called being asymptomatic. But she made it seem like the Jamaican authorities lied about her being COVID positive just so they could keep her locked in this resort for 2 weeks for whatever reason. And y'all, this girl's story just didn't add up, okay? There were a whole bunch of inconsistencies. Like, first she claimed that she was locked in the room and she had no key to get out. But then later in that same live, she said she went out into the hallway to see what was going on because nobody had come to check on her for a few hours. So how was it that she had no way to get out of the room, but then she went out into the hallway? And then there was a part where she said there was no phone for her friends to contact each other. And then later on in the live, she said there was a phone in the bathroom. So there was a phone in the room. And she had a phone in her hand that she was using to go live. So she did have a phone. And y'all, there was a part where she said she was locked in the room for so long that she didn't even know what day or time it was. But I'm like, you have a phone. Your phone doesn't have a calendar or a clock on it. Like, you're on your phone going live, but you don't know what day or time it is? Y'all, I can't. Anyway, then she said she called the US Embassy in Jamaica, and even the embassy told her that that's their policy. She has to stay in quarantine. But she just refused to accept that. Y'all, this girl's story was a lie from beginning to end, okay? It was just a quarantine that she made seem like a kidnapping. So, anyway, like I said, she never actually said she was kidnapped, but the way she talked about not being allowed to leave, the story came across as though she was being held against her will by criminals or something. And I mean, it's ridiculous when you really think about it, because if you got kidnapped, right? You're telling me the kidnappers left you with your phone so you could go live and post on social media and all of that? Like, come on now. But people ran with this kidnapping story, and next thing you know, people are making videos on YouTube claiming that this girl was being held by sex traffickers in Jamaica and stuff about a human trafficking ring. And y'all, it was just all kinds of foolishness. So when the story started circulating that she was kidnapped, Kalina herself actually posted on Instagram saying that she was not kidnapped. But these bloggers were saying that they didn't believe that post and that it seemed like somebody was forcing her to post that on social media. So they kept going with the story that this girl was missing and kidnapped in Jamaica. So the story kept going, and the Jamaican authorities had to come out and they explained that she was not missing. She was simply placed in mandatory quarantine as part of their policy for people who test positive for COVID-19. And they even asked her to make a statement about it to just kill all the rumors because the story was just getting out of hand at that point. So she claimed that she was being harassed to put out a statement, but again, I don't see the issue here. The world was believing that this girl was missing in Jamaica, that she was in some sort of danger. And nobody was believing the actual Jamaican government when they said she was not missing. But y'all, this girl had her phone at all times. She could call or contact whoever she wanted. She could post on social media. She could go live. But there were people believing that she was kidnapped. So, I mean, if the resort she was at or the Jamaican authorities asked her to make a statement saying that she was fine and just clear up the whole situation, I don't know why that's an issue. That's not harassment. That's them asking you to clear up the foolishness that you started. So anyway, after 2 weeks, she was allowed to leave quarantine and she was finally able to get the hell up out of these people's country, and y'all, good riddance, okay? But you know, the story still hasn't died down. There are still people saying that she was kidnapped and she only got set free because of the publicity and all of that. And people are trying to say that the resort is involved in human trafficking and they were doing something underhanded with this girl. So this one girl's story of having to be in quarantine in Jamaica, it has caused so much bad publicity for Jamaica, for the resort, for everybody involved. It caused a lot of bad publicity for JetBlue as well because she is a JetBlue employee. So today, JetBlue announced that they've suspended her from her job and they're investigating her actions. And they've also apologized to Jamaicans and to the Jamaican government because they just feel embarrassed by how this whole thing played out. And y'all, to be honest, I hope she gets fired completely because now we have people on YouTube, bloggers, who are using this as an opportunity to drag Jamaica. It's a whole Jamaica hate train right now. And I've seen videos claiming that Jamaicans are savages and rapists and all kinds of insulting things. People are insulting their food, the way they speak, their accent and language and stuff simply because of this one girl making it seem like she was kidnapped in Jamaica. Kalina could have ended all of this 2 weeks ago by just putting out a real statement saying that she was not kidnapped, she was fine, it was all a misunderstanding. But instead, she was trying to find a way to get out of quarantine. She even said in that video that she and her mother were thinking of making a run for it. Y'all, the level of selfishness in this girl. Like, you test positive for a deadly, contagious disease. And you're talking about escaping quarantine and you don't care how many people that you could put at risk in the process? She's just selfish to me. Y'all, Kalina Collier is a selfish, entitled brat who just did not want to quarantine, so she allowed this story to balloon into something that it wasn't. And now the entire Jamaican population is being bashed for it. Like, y'all, people refuse to admit that this was a whole lie. So they're now pulling up crime statistics in Jamaica to prove that Jamaica is this violent, savage country and all of that. And I'm sitting there watching this like, okay, so what is the crime like in your country? Because Jamaica does have a lot of crime. So does Trinidad. So does nearly every damn country in the world. Okay, we all have crime. So you're sitting there bashing Jamaica. Meanwhile, in your own country, there's serial killers, there's terrorists shooting up schools and shit, there's racially motivated crimes and all kinds of horrific things going on. So my point is, you're trying to damage a country's image because you just can't admit that you were wrong when you spread that this girl was kidnapped in Jamaica. So I'm like, okay, if you're gonna pull up Jamaica's crime statistics to back up your point that Jamaica is just a violent country, pull up the crime statistics in your own country too, and let's compare. Because to me, pulling up Jamaica's crime statistics to claim that Jamaicans are savages and all of that, it's like me pulling up racist incidents in the US and claiming that all Americans are racist. But I know better. I know it's stupid to label an entire country because of some people's actions. But y'all, people have really launched a Bash Jamaica campaign over this Kalina Collier stuff, and they're really running with it, and it's just disturbing to me. And you know what else is disturbing to me, y'all? It's bloggers on YouTube who made this thing spread the way it did, okay? The mainstream media wasn't putting out that this girl was kidnapped. It was bloggers on YouTube who were doing that. But now that it turns out that she was fine all along, and she was just a brat who didn't want to follow the rules, none of these people have taken down their videos. They are still allowing this thing to spread. So it's just crazy to me. Anyway, y'all, if you plan to travel during a goddamn pandemic, please research the regulations in the countries that you're visiting, okay? Because every country has their own policies regarding COVID-19, and you don't want to be caught up in a situation like this where you're not prepared to go into quarantine. Okay, just know that it's a possibility and be prepared for it. Or stay your ass at home. If you don't want to follow the rules in people's countries, don't go to people's countries. So just do your research before you travel. And also do your research before you get on YouTube with these wild theories about people being sex trafficked. I mean, y'all, sex trafficking and human trafficking are very real. It happens. So we don't need people trivializing those real issues by comparing it to somebody who just didn't want to quarantine. Anyway, y'all, while I was making this video, I saw an updated story that JetBlue has fired Kalina. And you know what? I think they made a great decision, okay? Because people have to feel the consequences of their actions. And she caused a hate train against an entire country. So I don't feel one bit of sympathy for her at all. Okay, my sympathy is for the resort because now they have to try to restore their image. Y'all, I wish the Jamaican government could sue this girl. And I feel like she should be banned from ever visiting any Caribbean island again. Okay, we don't need people like her here. Anyway, y'all, let me know what you think about this story in the comments. Bye, guys, and thanks for watching.